Hello, guys. Welcome back. So, Loa of the day, since we're still doing God of the Day, we don't know the day is going to be Baron Sunday. Before I start this, I am going to tell you he is the most physical of all the Loa. I'm not saying Legba and Ogu can't match him for doing things. One of the things is when you start working with food on Loa, you're going to notice a lot of physical activity at times, and it can get to the point where it scares you. Baron can have a fondness for candles. He's different with everyone. And he can have a fondness with doing traumatic things for your attention. This can be scary. I'm not telling you that so that you run out and make contact so you can have exciting things happen, because he can be contrary and decide, oh, if that's what you want, I won't do anything. And I'm getting this sense of pride, but he can be physically active, and he can have a bit of a temperament of, there would be things like he would like to knock things out of my hand. He would throw things off his altar. He would, do stuff that it was never truly cruel or dangerous, but he can have a temperament on him. So, yeah, he's always depicted in popular culture. You know what he looks like, and, whatever he can take out of your mind, that's what he's going to look like. And the rest is going to be up to you. I would say if you're going to work on a relationship with him, um, see what he wants. Save yourself all the heartache I went through and see what he wants. If he just wants to come in and help and he's not saying you must now learn Budon and everything, try that for at least a little bit. Then if you start running into problems, then you can go, okay, I need to start working with Papa Ligba and I need to start working with these other spirits. The problem's going to be, as soon as you contact a Mambo or Ugon, they're going to want to set you right. As it's like contacting a Catholic priest, and they're going to want you to start doing things their way. And Baron is very strong-minded, and he has his own idea of how things should go, and they're probably not the way that Mambo or Ugon wants them to go. Alright? And he can be known for being disruptive in a house. So, he's not always everybody's favorite Loa. Some people love him and adore him because he can show up and give great blessings, and he can do great things. He is a mover and a shaker, being death and being the father of the dead and the lost dead. He can act a lot faster in our world. Your ancestors can act even faster since the dead are the very closest to us, but he can act just as fast, sometimes even faster. People are going to dispute whether Baron or Gede is stronger, and it's like, unless you really would need to know, it's not important. I mean, unless we're fighting the final war to end all wars against space aliens and whatever else, it doesn't really matter. It matters you work with the one that you work with. And I can tell he's kind of pleased because I've been getting smells like lilies and coconut and whatever else he enjoys. He enjoys making random scents, and they're positive. They're like good things, and you'll kind of know it's him. Mine's kind of more solemn because we started to work together at a time when I was going through a lot and I needed a lot of help doing healing for family members, and he did help. But at the same time, he is, cheerful enough with me still that, he'll do the random sense, or he'll do little things. And sometimes with having a lot of tricksters in the same house, I'm never sure who's doing it. Though the Baron is fond of candles like Loki, and he is fond of, making sense, or having me see something randomly pop up in Pinterest in like colors that he would enjoy. Every house is going to argue on that, so I'm just going to say go with what the Baron tells you. Obviously Saturday is his day. His name can mean Saturday, or it can mean do as I say, depending on how you translate it. And those are at least 2 translations. I'm sure there's more. Usually you don't have to spend a lot. Coffee, peanuts, any kind of party food, fond of candy. Obviously, I'm going to tell you to be careful, but if you want to speed things up with a Loa, you serve them spicier food, hot food, or whatever food they request. If you want to slow things down, that's when you serve sweets, and that's when you serve cool things. It's, kind of like buyer beware, because it doesn't always work. Sometimes it has the adverse effect. Sometimes you make all the spicy food, You do everything you want, you give it to them, they're like, "Ish, I know what I said, I'll get to it eventually." And that's when you have to close down the altar for a little while. Sometimes with him, it helps. He's not only very physical in our world, he can get to be too much. And if you start feeling yourself being disordered or you start to feel yourself like going off the rails, you have to break contact with him for a while. And this is actually normal in Voodoo from the people I work with. Just break contact with him a while, do it respectfully, close down his altar, whatever way you close it down if you have an altar. And, just don't work with him for a while. He can be too much. He's the one that everybody's going to disagree as to his abilities. Just know that right now. So know that everything I say, somebody's going to tell me I'm a damn fool and I don't know anything. He's the one that can put spirits in your head. And he's the one that can drive people crazy. He's the one that will take people as into the other side. And he can do that at will, but he can also stop somebody from, dying and drag you back from death's door because that's his door anyways. And what the hell you doing here? Like you don't have enough to do. He loves children, especially the Barons and the Gay Day all love children and they'll be good with children. And of course, he has highly appropriate language. You think I swear, he swears even worse, but it's in a charming way. It's not in a way meant to offend you. It's not in a way meant to shock you. And he does inappropriate dances and makes inappropriate gestures with his cigar, and he loves his alcohol. He loves his piement, but most of the stuff you look up on him, it's all fun, but if you're not in a house, you're not perhaps always going to see all this stuff. Obviously, if you're not going to a house, you're not going to see Baron in possession or something. He's fine videos, but people are always like, is that a real possession or are they, faking this or play acting? You have to be aware that people do. That's kind of why Piedmont exists. It's, the rum with the hot peppers in it. Its other name, I think, is Haitian tear gas. So it exists to test the possession because if you are not possessed in play acting and somebody pours this in your eyes or anywhere else or you try to drink it, you will scream in agony and be on the floor crying. So it's kind of like a fail-safe of the possession. There are other things too, but we're not here to discuss Food on 101. Overall, he can be good to work with. With me, he has more of that teacher aspect, so he's more serious. And he has more of the aspect of teaching you the right way to behave with the other Loa. So even though he's known for causing disruptions, and he's known for liking a good time, and he's known for being, acting a fool and being nonsensical, he is very wise. Some people say he holds all the wisdom of all the ancestors. Now, some people say he's the first ancestor, and some people say he's dead. So I know that God spelsing is all the rage lately, but if you would go to a traditional house and you would say that he's proposing marriage or something else, they're going to tell you no because it's a taboo to marry the dead or, to marry an ancestor. Some people consider him an ancestor, so you can't do this. Other houses don't care. Other houses work more with the Gay Day and work more with the Barons, and you just have to be kind of suited to it. You're either suited to that family or not, and it's not like, oh, this person can work with them, they're more special. Everybody's suited to a different family. Some people are more suited to the Ogus, some people can serve the Azilis, some people, work better with the dead. But they're usually going to do other stuff too to balance out all that energy because they can be disruptive. They can get wound up, and Baron can be very much a loose cannon. He's going to be the most physical of the Loa, at least in my experience that you work with. So if that makes you nervous, if that scares you, stuff's starting to happen. If it's not already happened with Loki, you have to be aware that Baron is very physically active in the world. And there have been times when I've seen him do stuff. I had to go get a reading done because I was having issues, and the day after the reading, I was like, well, I will take you out, meaning the Baron, because he liked going out for Chinese at the time. And I'm taking him out, and I'm walking through a used store, and I could just kind of not so much see him, but he went through that store like a house on fire. Paper was flying everywhere, and stuff was flying off the shelves. He was just upset. So you do have to realize that he is powerful, and sometimes when he's upset, he doesn't mean to be malicious, but stuff's going to happen. He's calmed down. We have an on again, off again relationship because Baron, wants you to do as he says. Does he want you to do as I say, or some Mambo says, or some Hugon says, or some God's forbid book says? He wants you to do as he says. So if he picks out colors you have never heard of before, and he picks out weird stuff, do not worry about what people call him. Somebody called him a couple things I can't relate. Gay day. And no. And I was working with his brother, and I don't know why, but it took me forever to realize these people must have just not liked me much. His brother was showing up looking nothing like Lacroix looks usually, and it was Lacroix. It was just that was what he chose because I was going through a really hard time in my life, and I should have known. The boys were trying to cheer me up in their very own strange way, but he will do as he do. And if you work with him, you eventually should at least make a token effort to work with Maman Brigitte. She may not work with you, she may not even acknowledge you, but if you're going to work with him, at least acknowledge her existence, at least put something, out eventually. You don't have to do all this at once. In fact, Baron, as much as I love him, he would be one of those Loa that if he weren't calling me, I wouldn't work with him. He can be really intense, and if he decides to take a dislike to someone, that can be very problematic because it's not as simple as having a Mambo or Ugon then come to your house and go, shoo, shoo. He may decide to plant himself and make demands. And if you've ever dealt with the Baron, and people are kind of traumatized that have, he can come up with a very long list. And every time you have done everything he wants one more thing. One more thing. He can plant himself and not move. And he can drive you absolutely insane. And sometimes he will keep requesting stuff, and these aren't actually the things he wants. He may never come around to the thing he actually wants. So you do have to be careful with working with him that sometimes he can, it's his kind of sacred duty, as one Wombo explained to me, to test your limits, to see what you'll give him. If you would give him your entire income and spend it all in one day on him, he would take it. That you would then not have an income, he wouldn't care. It's his job to test your limits. It's a sacred job, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to learn how to say no. And if you can't say no, if I tend to be a pushover, you might have problems working with him. So you're going to want to get that relationship with Papa Legba, and you're going to want to get that relationship with Vudon Loa that seem to be calling you. There are differing opinions of how the other Loa look at him. Some say they all love him and they're all in good condition with him. Some say, oh my god, if you work with Papa, forget about working with Sayazili or forget about working with someone else. I think it depends. Samdi seems to think he's the most charming, irresistible gentleman in existence, and he can be to humans. Humans like him just fine, but the story is that, there are basic stories I've been told. Some I don't think I can tell you. It's just, I think I was told them in good faith, but the public story is that he's been forever chasing after Ezili and, Rita, and she wants nothing to do with him. And he thinks he's Mr. Charming and Mr. Suave, and she wants nothing to do with him. And then, that's going to be problematic because she is Ogu's girl, or depending on what you're practicing, she was with somebody else, and that could be problematic. And then you have a lot of fun. But, in general, he's good to work with. He's a good healer. He's a good magician. He's definitely protective. Once he decides he loves someone, he has a relationship, he's very protective. But he's very strong-minded. He's very strong-willed. We used to argue until the cows came home, and then we argued about cows coming home. We could really argue. And we argued so much over me not listening to the Baron and listening to humans instead that at one time he left. And he left out of a kindness. He left instead of hurting me. He was that mad. And it took a couple months of me begging Legba and trying to make good faith with Legba and Papa Dabala and some others to have him come back. And then when he finally came back, he was kind of like this with me. So he will forgive you, but it's going to be one of those things where he might not either. And I got lucky. Let me explain to you, I got lucky. He could have been malicious, and he has been known to be malicious in the past when people make him that angry. So if you're one of those people that you honestly know you have to do things your own way, like if you have a job and you get directions, but you're like, I know better, and you go and you always do it your own way, He's not going to be the best Loa for you to work with. He can be fun and he can be having a party, but he's also actually the strictest of the Loa too, and he will turn around and hand you a list of rules, a lot like Lepo will. So, overall, he is good to work with. He is a lot of fun. I don't need to go into that too much because there are like 5 million, videos and everything and popular culture references. He's not as dangerous as some people think he can be. He can be dangerous. All Loa can. All Loa can be dangerous. But in general, if you're not working into a house and you're not going out and doing full things like buying a book of black magic spells and deciding you're going to put this voodoo curse on someone, as long as you're not doing stupid shit, you don't have to worry. If you start doing bad shit and you start hanging around with the bad people doing the bad shit, then you have to worry. Then he's very dangerous. But other than that, he's very good. As long as you stick to doing nice stuff and doing healings and you don't decide that Balance MD is your attack dog, that's where the problems always come from, you'll be fine. Because he's also kind of ambivalent. Some people say he's truth and justice, some people say he has a darker side. But if you go to the truth justice side and you say, I want to do this to this person because of this, he will check out your story. He will check out your story. And if your story does not check out or you were mistakenly wrong, he's going to come back and either tell you, well, you thought this was so, but this is not so. Or if you lied and he knows you lied, he's going to bring back to you what you tried to put on that person and then some. He's instant karma. I can't say that enough. So yeah, in a way he is a little dangerous. It's like once people start working with Baron, a lot of people go through it, which is why a lot of houses are just gonna sigh if that's how you came into Voodoo. A lot of people go on to think that they're like this master of dangerous dark magic and the Baron's their personal guard dog or something. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. In fact, the warning bell of any Mambo or Ugon should be that if they have so-and-so as the guard dog of their house and so-and-so is going to get you, don't even work with that person. Don't even work with that person. The Loa will take care of people, and they're certainly going to guard the house that they're a part of, but they're not personal attack dogs because foolish people came in and tried to study voodoo and were doing everything stupid and backwards and silly or something like that. That's not what they're there for. The Loa are in your life to go attack other people because they're not taking Loa or Voodoo seriously enough. That's not what they exist for. They're not going to fight our battles for us any more than the gods are. But that said, he is good to have around. He is fun to have around. He does have bad language a lot of the time, almost all the time, and he makes inappropriate jokes. But you know all that. That's why I was struggling to do the video because I was like, I don't want to tell you what everybody else can tell you about the Varon because it seems every single source has the same exact stories, the same exact party thing, and it's like people get this, they know this, they need to know something useful. Hopefully that helped. I've been working on it for a couple of days, just would not come. I'm hoping because today was so weird and so many random things happened that it's kind of his blessing. So if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.